This show doesn't have an intro or anything, so it's fine. I'll just cut in somewhere.
And it's never gonna. My big brain IQ, pulling a Jerry Seinfeld. It's like, oh,
Your brainchild is literally nothing.
it's a show about nothing. Oh, I'm so genius.
Like,
this is so.
We took a show that was already about nothing
Yeah.
and like reduced it further into nothing.
we
show up every Monday with nothing planned.
Yeah.
And then come here once a month and do the same thing less.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna go better. I mean, not that Monday goes bad, but Monday it's like, okay,
There is some structure to it.
Well, there's structure to it, and it feels like we are.
Hey.
Oh, feels like we are the information givers. You know, like you are listening to this to learn something. I will promise you now, this is not the show that is like, oh, I learned something on off air today.
You learned how fucking stupid.
Yeah, you learned how fucking stupid I am. That's pretty much the concept here.
We listened to a soundbite of Dumb and Dumber and then decided to come do this.
Yeah, no, that like, cause so for culturally relevant, it's fun doing that show.
Oh, is this a deep cut?
I mean, this is just giving a little bit
personal.
of well, I'm giving some lore. I'm adding lore
Go
to
ahead.
the meta.
Enrich the universe of this. Enrich the style verse.
I'm
gonna rename the webpage.
I'm just adding to the style verse, but I don't know. I feel like with culturally relevant, I kind of just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over, and like, while I love video games and I love movies and I always go see movies and I play games sometimes, like, and I still feel enriched in that culture, that, you know, all of that shit.
What is relevant?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like, I don't know, I am not adamantly keeping up with it to the point of like, well, this has all been on my radar all month, and I've been waiting, and like there were a couple things that we talked about, or that I talked about on Culturally Relevant, that like was like genuinely super passionate about, but then there are other things where it's like, yeah, I know that this is gonna be popular, comes out this day, peace. You know,
my favorite
like transition.
I'm glad you like the transition.
Yeah,
at least.
yeah, I did.
My favorite part would always be when we do 6 or 7 fucking takes for one line.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you'd get the wrong date, and I'd be like, I'm just gonna leave it and see if anyone notices.
Yeah. Oh, that was something too. I would listen back to the episodes and be like, "That's wrong. Like that's just not right." I'm looking at it right now. I promise that's not right. Or like there was. Like, one of the last months, there was a game that I did that wasn't coming out that month. It was coming out the next month, and I only realized it after we had recorded, and I was like, well, this is staying, like...
It's too late now.
Yeah. Well, happens.
I will say it's funny. So, like, the whole concept of the mini-casts was to have... And by the way, I coined that fucking term, and I will not
I like it. It makes sense.
I will not have anyone on any other fucking show saying that they coined that shit, because I came up with that. And now apparently there's a super mega mini cast.
Yeah.
So go fuck yourself, Matt and Ryan.
I'm gonna level with you. I feel like mini cast is a like.
No, I trademarked it.
Mini clip was huge.
This has nothing to do with podcasts.
Mini cast, mini clip. It's like kind of the
mini
same.
Mini cast is like when you break your pinky. They got splinted, but they can't put a splint on, so they just plaster that fucker.
Oh, is that what all this is?
Yeah.
Okay. We're just waiting for the cast.
Yeah. Broke my pinky. Okay. Long story short. No, but the mini casts were supposed to be like, again, just short little fun things.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to like the pigeonhole. The pigeonhole's a perfect fucking example. Evan used to do a segment on the show where he would find a mean tweet or find something he thought was stupid that week and talk about it for fucking a minute or two.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, why don't you just make that a show?
Make that your own thing.
But it doesn't have to be like a fucking hour-long show like we do. Just fucking do, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of it.
And that's what's nice about these two is, like, I'm about to get real meta with the listeners, but, like, we could record this for, like, another 15 minutes, but if it's good 15 minutes, then, like, boom, perfect. That could, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is just a lot easier to chop up because we do the multiple episodes in one recording style, and I feel like that.
Yes,
I don't know. It's nice. It's nice that, like, okay, we're gonna stop right here, and then Okay, go back up
It
again.
almost feels like the old podcasts.
It's
before
fun.
we went to radio.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
a little bit.
So like what I was getting at with the whole mini cast thing is
Oh
like
yeah, sorry.
no, you're good.
I went off.
It's
I
what it
started
was.
talking.
It's what it was. Don't fucking talk on your
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
It's what it was supposed to be. It was like these short little fun things that,
Yeah.
hey, you have a niche doing like I was supposed to do Reputation versus Reality, which is
Yeah.
still kind of floating around over there because I'm like, I talk about
Yeah.
music like 5 times a week. Do you really need another show where I break down music?
Yeah,
But like as far as that goes, they're supposed to be like fun little mini series that like, oh, you put it on for a drive and there's
Yeah,
something like you don't
yeah.
have to sit and actively listen to
Yeah.
it. So like as much as I love doing the radio show,
Uh-huh.
it's a radio show. It's not we have a
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
but it's meant to be in the presence of radio. We format it for radio.
Yeah.
We have ad breaks, we have sponsors, we have
Yeah.
things that we have to do. We have
It's
time
way
restraints.
more like formal, I
Yeah.
guess, or official.
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
I don't know. This is, and that's another thing too. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is way more lax.
Yeah.
You know, this just has a more laid back environment feel to it. Like, this is just how we talk normally, except now we have on headphones and a microphone.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It feels like you would expect a podcast to go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if I turn on a fucking podcast on YouTube and see like a video podcast is what I'd expect to see, and just like nothing conversation.
I know like Joe Rogan was the first like big Bill Burr. Wasn't Bill Burr like one of the first big podcasters? I could be wrong about
Dude,
that.
I am so like as far as the podcasting game goes, I am the wrong person to ask, and it's fucking hilarious because I produce how many of them now, and I still have no fucking knowledge of podcasting. Like the first podcast I ever listened to was Talk Is Jericho.
I've always found like podcasts were on no one's radar, and then I feel like around the time we watched or we listened to Serial in high school. You remember that?
Yeah.
That, or at least maybe it was a situation where I learned what they were, and so I started seeing them more in my life. But it seemed like around then, so like mid 2010s, they started to like really pop off and get popular.
Yeah, it was always like that weird app on your phone. You're like, what the fuck is this for?
Like I'm not gonna use it. What is this thing? Podcast?
Like, why am I listening to people talk? I'm on the radio if I want to hear that. But like even going to broadcasting school, like this is like first block of classes.
Yeah.
We had a podcasting class. And this is like I think the first month I was there, we had a podcasting class, and I'm like, I want to be here for broadcasting.
Yeah.
Why am I learning about podcasting? Because at the time I'm like, I had the mindset of, well, anybody could just fucking grab a microphone. And a lot of people still have that mindset of everybody can just grab a microphone
and that's why there are so many dumbass podcasts.
Right,
Yeah,
like this one. But like learning like, okay, this is just a new medium of broadcasting, and here's how you do it, and here's how you use it, and here's how you advertise for. I'm like, okay, I guess this is a growing market.
Yeah.
Because even at the time, I'm like, I'm not going to really need this information. And then here I am.
No, that's a good way
producing, 5, 6 fucking podcasts?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, is like a growing platform, a growing media. Because like, at least during that time, or what is that, high school, after high school, college?
Yeah.
That's like, that's key time, at least for you to be learning that, because it's still in early relevancy, you know?
Right.
Like it's still kind of, and this is going back all the way to what I was talking about initially. It's interesting to me, and like I said, I could be wrong about this, but I am currently under the impression that Bill Burr was like one of the first big podcasters, and I think like comedy podcasts in general were some of the first podcasts to pop off, because comedians realized like, oh, I can just talk.
Yeah, it's informal.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay, I'm the funny guy. When you put a microphone in front of my face, well, I'm gonna have a half an hour show where all I do is sit in front of a microphone. You know, like it's the next logical conclusion, and that's why I think this is, because like, yeah, we talk about a lot of things, but I feel like our main shtick is comedy. We do the.
I am a serious news broadcaster, number one. Don't you ever listen to any show I've ever done. And
no, you listen. We're goofballs, and you know it. But like, I don't know. It's funny that like that's how it comes back full circle. Is like, even though podcasts are a huge thing, and fucking everyone and their grandma has a podcast.
Yeah.
It's like,
we're
still here with, and like that's something that I tell everybody. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking call you by your. I'm like, oh yeah, Jordan's super official about all of his like podcasting and his broadcasting shit, because like, yeah, I know people I went to college with who have podcasts because they saw that they were getting popular, and it's just a fucking like, you know, shitty white, you know, $10 table. What are those, like
little pop out
tables and like, you know, shitty mics and headphones, and like they call that their podcast. But like this is a genuine fucking podcast. This is a podcast. This is what it feels like. This is what it should feel like, you know? Like this kind, you have, and I've told you this off air too, but you have definitely fully established this like thing you have going. And that's like, yeah, you like, I'm doing this show because I know that I have a friend who has a fucking dope setup. I have a dope friend who has a dope setup that I can just sit here and be like, yo, let's just bullshit for an hour and call that the show.
Right.
He's going to be like, yeah, okay. And now we're here doing it, you know? Like, this, in my eyes, is like, we're more than a step above those people doing those things. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
people.
The fucking idiots that I talked about it in that one blog I did, but fucking people who smoke weed and have like one good conversation with their friends one time, and they're like, we should definitely start a podcast, dude. Like, this is totally known, like,
so many people like that.
Yeah.
And so like, and again, it comes from the whole stigma of like, we didn't really grow up with the medium of podcasts. Like, it was kind of growing as we were.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't want to be a podcaster. I want to be a broadcaster. I want to go into radio.
Yeah.
Which is, who did I talk about this with? Sean? I think Sean, that like, I still don't consider myself a podcaster, even though like, I know a lot of the Monday listeners come to listen to the podcast on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And for a long time, that's all there was. But it's going through that training and going through school and knowing how broadcasting works. The one thing I will say is like, yeah, it kind of fucking irks me now, and maybe it's just me being a mean old man, and not letting people have fun. Because like, by all means, if you have a fucking passion, go pursue it. But take the fucking time and do it the right way, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't just say, oh man, we have funny conversations, we should go, let's just fucking open up a laptop and do it, and we won't edit it, and it'll be... Here's the biggest thing I hate, and I see it all the fucking time, because I'm gonna give a fucking secret here about broadcasting. The main way you promote a podcast is through group pages for podcast promotion. Yeah. And a lot of it will be like, oh, well, listen, and we'll share you, and you share us, and this word kind of spreads by mouth.
That's nice.
But, the biggest fucking thing I see, and I feel like anybody who has ever talked about it is, oh, let's start a podcast, does this, and it's because I've literally had conversations with people who be like, oh, you do broadcasting, well, I thought about doing this for a and this is literally hands down everything I've ever heard every time. Oh no, it's gonna be different because it's gonna be raw. We're not gonna edit it. It's gonna be uncut. It's gonna be real. People are gonna love it. It's gonna be funny because it's raw, and we're not, we don't need to bother editing. You need to edit shit. You're not cool. It sounds bad. And it comes across bad. If you're using a shitty iPhone on a fucking hotel desk, it sounds bad.
Can we get some applause?
Give me applause in post.
Can we get some applause?
I have to edit this.
Yes, that is it exactly. That is it. Like, so I feel like in those situations, what they're going for is what this to me feels like. Like, yeah, this is just my little dumb show, but I have a fucking powerhouse behind me who literally does 100% of the legwork, and I just show up and, we make a fun show, and like that in and of itself is fucking like a blessing that I've talked about it on air before, but just the whole you texting me about this or about doing blogs and then how all of this happened is like, I don't know, it's super huge for me, and it's very fun, and like I get stressed, and you just text me about it, and I deal with the anxiety on air and stuff, but like it's so fun doing this, and it's so cool to tell, like, people are so interested when I'm like, oh yeah, I do a radio show, and they're like, what, you do a radio show? Like, yeah, it's a fucking like
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's
2,000 listeners a day. No big deal, man.
It's one of those things where I'm like, wait till they actually hear it. Yeah, wait till they actually hear it.
Come on, we're fucking talking about Elon Musk sucking dick or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
no, dude, The Rock's got a huge cock. Wow, this is a radio show, huh?
Yeah, but like, it's so dope, and like everyone thinks it's dope. I don't know. It's just like, this is the funnest part of it. Like, fucking, we have two people who are like, hey, Can we
Oh
listen?
yeah, let's stop by.
Yeah, you can stop by. We're just gonna be bullshitting, but to them it's
Right.
like, well, at least you could maybe say or perceive that, like, to them it's like, oh, we're watching
We're
this
getting the
thing.
inside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're watching this thing happen. There's something being created in there, you know? And
There's
like in reality,
well,
we're
there's
just like
something being created. I'll say this, and I wasn't gonna bring this up because like I don't like talking about this aspect of it because I'm very much of, hey, you don't, you know, you pay your fucking dues and you do your work, and eventually down the line when it's all over you can talk about it.
yeah.
But I will say I had a conversation last week or the week before with someone, and they were just asking me like, well, how'd you get started in radio? How'd you get started in podcasts? You know, how do you go about this? And they brought up the show and the Monday show, the Rebel Radio Show, live on CBW every Monday at 5 p.m. You can find it at cbwproductioncompany.com. I gotta do my plugs.
Yeah, always.
But they're like, well, how did that format come about? And I told them the story. I'm like, well, we had a show in college, and all that happened. Took it to a podcast form, and they're like, so how'd you get everybody that you work with? And so here's the fun part. I'm a huge proprietor. I'm a huge sure. Yeah. I'm a big guy. I'm a big guy.
I'm a big guy,
I'm a big guy. At 215, 230, somewhere like that, hitting the weights, just fucking clanging
Been
and banging.
pumping lately. I'm a big guy.
Big guy,
do you okay? I don't want to like say any names or anything, but do you remember the kid that we were in our grade and everyone say big man?
Big man.
He's the big man. Big man. I thought that shit was so funny.
You know who else I got?
And he loved it too.
Oh,
he was like, yeah, I'm the big man.
Yeah, I'm a big man. I'm a big guy. I'm gonna do. Jake's not here. I'm gonna do this one for Jake because there's a Kevin Nash promo we always cut, and the only part of it I can remember is a big man. So there's that.
Big man.
I also heard. I'm gonna say the name. I'll decide later if I want to bleep it out. Someone. I haven't heard this name in like 4 or 5 years. Someone casually texted me the other day and said, I have some gossip. And I'm like, why are you coming to me about this? I don't even talk to you.
Why would I care?
Yeah, who are we gossiping about? And now it's on air.
That's what you get when you gossip.
Yeah. But I got a Parker-Doan.
Oh, Parker-Doan. God damn it, Parker-Doan. Love that
What the fuck were we talking about?
I don't even
remember. I'm a big guy.
Oh, yeah, you're a big guy.
I'm a big guy. Hit the gym,
Yeah.
Do my protein, do my leg day.
Yeah,
I'm a big guy. 6'6", 6'7", big guy.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of. I think I talked about this on the Rebel Radio Show a couple weeks ago. My favorite thing to do is get a negative reaction.
Yeah, I know that you.
Any reaction is a good reaction.
Yeah,
I don't believe like any press is good press. You can't have bad press.
Oh, you love being the heel. You love the heel.
Like literally above your head is complaint emails that we've gotten. So like I still have to frame my termination notice from the other station that I probably can't legally say. I still have to frame that.
You love the heel.
And I got one more complaint I have to frame. But so that's me.
Yeah.
And I'll take that in stride, and I appreciate it because I'm like, okay, cool. At least I'm getting that reaction for that bit.
Yeah.
I don't like to unless it's like really prevalent because people are gonna hate on everything. There's gonna be complaints about everything. You're not gonna please everybody.
Yeah.
I don't like to bring it up to other people, especially if it's such a nothing complaint. But I'm gonna do it right now because this is your show.
Yeah, of course.
I got a complaint about you the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
From who?
It wasn't even a complaint, right?
Was it the big C? That motherfucker.
You son of a bitch. You
bloody wanker.
Austin.
Oh God.
Screw you. You're fired. It wasn't even a complaint. It was a comment because they were asking, how did I get to where I am in the journey?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all this happened. Like, so like, how do you go about picking your co-hosts? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, a lot of the time I enjoy listening to the show on Monday, and I'll comment on Facebook every so often, and I'll join in. But like, it just seems like you're doing a lot of the work, and Shayne's just kind of there for a laugh or two sometimes. I'm like, okay, first of all, fuck you. But
I do my 1/3 ish.
But I straight up do my 1/3. That's all we ask of you. No, but I straight up told them too. I'm like, I've had co-hosts that went to the school with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've had co-hosts who've worked in the industry. I've had all these different qualified people to be co-hosts,
Mm-hmm.
and every single time something has happened where it's okay, this isn't working, or okay, they can't seem to commit to this, or they can't seem to wrap their head around this bit. And I explained to them, like, even when I was working at the school, the broadcasting school, and my job was to train people to be on air.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can train anybody on this earth as long as they're fucking competent to run a board.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's a different interface everywhere you go, but it's easy to pick up.
Yeah.
Like, I can sit down and after 2 sessions, you can run the fucking board by yourself, not a problem. You cannot teach everybody to be an on-air presence. You have to have that some kind of extra level or be able to tap into that. Yeah. So I'm like, you can say what you fucking want, but at the end of the day, Shayne's the best co-host I've had because we can actually fucking play off each other and have that chemistry to make a bit or to know what the fuck we're going in directions.
Well, and that's another thing too. You could even round robin it back to the thing we were talking about earlier with people like dumbasses just starting shows because they think they can.
I was definitely a dumbass who started a show because I thought I could. But guess what? It was the highest rated fucking show that station's ever seen.
Guess what? It fucking worked, bitch. It fucking worked.
Number 1 award-winning show on underground radio for 2 years in a row. Top listeners the station's ever seen. Just putting that out there.
I feel like for those people, it roots in
Jimmy Kimmel. There's a Jimmy Fallon. One of them has the roots. I hate both of them, yeah, but
fuck them all. Letterman, fuck him too.
Whoa.
Hey,
yeah.
Well. But it roots in like it's because they're friends and it's because we're good friends and we've had good conversation for so long that like those people think, well, I know his personality really well and he knows my personality really well, so we'd be good on air. Sure, that may be true. That doesn't mean that you know how to start a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
You know, you guys might be good on air. I think this is a situation. I think it's very serendipitous is what the proper term would be. But like, we just have always been friends, and so we always have good conversation. I always know how, or like, we've grown up since elementary school with each other, so I know how you, and we've been friends pretty much all through that. You know how I work, I know how you work, you know, it's like, at least to the extent of like, we know how to have good conversation.
Right.
You know, like we are on the same level about things, and then when we're not, it's easy for us to like understand each other better, you know. I don't know, it's
so, I mean, yeah, since we're peeling back the fourth wall here anyway, I will say, like, not even to that, because like I had a co-host that I'd known since like elementary school, and like we hung out quite a bit after that, like after graduation and everything, like reconnected, did all that, and I'm like, hey, you know, maybe you want to, I'm sure if you listen to the fucking show, you know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say names because, you know, but I'm like, hey, you want to try and fucking, this is like when we first started doing a podcast. I'm like, you want to just fucking try this? Because like I've said, I train a lot fucking worse people. Like I can do this.
Yeah.
I couldn't, obviously. But it's like, it's not even that. It's the fact that like, I told you this the other day, you're willing to adapt and learn to the situation, and that's what you need to be able to do, because like I have to do that every single time I'm on air.
Yeah.
And that's why I like doing this too, because it's very fucking relaxed, and I don't have to worry about...
And that's what I kind of wanted with this show. I don't want us to have to think about what's coming next, or think about the next punchline, you know? Like, we can just sit here and have a conversation for a second and not have to be like, oh, quippy, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, we can, like, obviously, that's how we are, so that's how it goes regardless, but we can still sit here and have a thorough conversation and be like, okay, these are just two people talking. Like, you know, for the listeners, it's just like, okay, these are people having good conversation, you know? And maybe to a lot of people this would seem boring, but like I know that there are people out there who would love to just dig a little deeper inside the minds of random people and see how, or like background. I don't know. This is fun for me, so fuck you, I guess.
And okay, so I guess this works because how I because I don't know how to fucking, like, I think I told you this too when we did the first batch of recording. Like, I don't know what to describe this as.
Yeah.
Other than, like, because, like, you have to put a description when you make a new fucking podcast. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to call this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I think the tagline was, how radio people act off air.
Yeah.
Because hence the name Off Air.
Yeah.
And I think this is a pretty good fucking amalgamation of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't really talk about the inner workings on air a lot.
Oh yeah, no, and that's another.
Because I'm a big component of kayfabe.
Yeah, that I was gonna say we keep a pretty good cloak over us. It works, I think, for a lot of people.
I definitely 2 weeks ago, something like that, someone hit me up. I don't even know how the fuck they got in contact with me or why we started talking.
Yeah.
We were just shooting the shit. And, like, after, like, an hour or two of just shooting the shit, I was like, so let me ask you this. What was your first impression of me versus what it is now? Like, honestly, the first time I ever saw you was on air, and I thought you were a massive dick who just liked to argue. And I'm like, I mean, I am, but I fucking play it up a little bit.
Yeah. That's kind of how it is. Like, people will listen. I'm like, yeah, that's just style. Like, that's just style. You know,
he's
like,
just a fucking prick. What do you want to do?
He's just being him. Like, that's just, that's why I'm there. Like,
it was like Colin or Barbie or someone last week was watching and said, "Wow, Shayne's the voice of reason."
Yeah. Pretty much. Like, at least sometimes. I don't know. And that's like.
That's what I've noticed too. It's a pretty 50-50 swing.
Yeah,
the voice of reason.
Sometimes I can go, and then there are a lot. I don't know. And this just feels more like good. I don't know. This is like the table's open. You know, the floor is open. So if there's any, and that's kind of what I want it to be. Like, I know how thoughts work for people, and they just kind of pop in randomly, and it's. At least I'm finding, and maybe that's what's pursuing me to do this show more, I'm finding that it's better, or at least it seems to be more in your interest, depending on, I guess, what the thought is. But, like, for the most part, if you're just like, hey, man, whatever. Like, I don't know.
I can't tell you how often I just walk up and go, you know what?
And that's,
what am I going to do?
And that's what this show is. It's a big old... Yeah, it's a big old fart. It's a big old wet fart. And I love it.
I'll say this just to kind of fucking bring it full circle.
Yeah.
If you do decide under any circumstance that, hey, I should start a podcast and we're pretty funny, I'll let you know that it's been done. The thing we don't need any more of, number one, is motivational podcasts.
Yeah.
Do not go out and make a motivational podcast because there are a good handful of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if that's really what you're passionate about, take the time, study your competition, and put the work in.
Yeah.
Because even if, like, oh, what's a hobby? It's competition.
Yeah.
Study it. Yeah. Put the work in, see what they're doing versus what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of motivational podcasts, just like there's a lot of podcasts where it's, oh, buddy's shooting the shit. I'll say this. If you're going to start a podcast, do your research.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just fucking grab a goddamn snowball mic and a fucking laptop.
Yeah.
Don't plan anything and just shoot and not edit it and put it up.
Yeah.
Get in contact with someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. Get in contact with a studio. I know a couple good ones.
I know a couple bad ones.
I know a couple bad ones too, but I know at least 2 good ones that will edit your shows.
That's something that I'm noticing though, is that like it's all about professionalism. Like, how professional can you make and I think I'm noticing it more with TikTok more than anything, but like, how professional can you make
I love business TikTok.
the quality of your content? Fuck you. Listen.
Yeah, you're right.
It's all about looking professional, baby. It's all about the suits and the ties. All about the big coin, cha-ching. There's something else I was going to say, too. I don't fucking remember it, though.
I don't know. Business TikTok.
We're a comedy show. This is... The Styles Rebel Radio is a comedy show.
Styles Rebel Radio is the name of the page.
The Rebel Radio Show. And that's another thing. Okay, Styles Rebel Radio, The Rebel Radio Show. Just fucking
rolls.
Pick one, but then also Styles Rebel Radio. Come on. Maybe
you could have
Shayne's Rebel Radio.
You could have called this show anything you want.
Can we call it Shayne's Rebel Radio?
You want to call this show Shayne's Rebel Radio now?
No.
We call it Shayne's off air.
Yeah, Shayne's off air.
Shayne
And we'll
is
have
off air.
we'll have like the logo as like the Las Vegas sign, and we'll have we'll have my face as a skeleton
You know what?
in like the corner with Las Vegas burning in the background. I think that'd look really cool.
First of all, it is an ambiguous city in the background.
Ah, yes, an ambiguous city in the background. Yes.
Second of all,
This man condones Las Vegas burning.
I'm pretty sure Las Vegas condones Las Vegas burning.
Fair enough.
But when you start picking up graphic design, then we'll talk.
Fair
I never
enough.
claimed to be good at graphic design. It just
fair
got
enough.
thrust upon me 4 shows ago.
Hey,
When
listen.
they're like, "Hey, we need fucking logos for people," I'm like, "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing."
If I'm ever thrusted by graphic design, first one I'll hit up is you. I promise. No, fuck. There was something else I was gonna say though, and now it's gone forever. Well, this cherry. What's your favorite like drink? What's your favorite flavor of like sweet fruit
so
thing?
fucking
No, I'm saying
ambiguous.
like there's all the artificial fruit flavors. What is your
Yeah.
favorite artificial fruit flavor?
Watermelon.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about artificial banana?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Eh.
I
Artificial banana is never the same.
I'm talking like orange popsicles.
See, the only thing I
orange-
ever think of with artificial banana is the Laffy Taffy.
Oh,
and
okay,
I'm not
that's
a fan
fair.
of it.
I guess that's fair. You know, okay, this is interesting. This is an interesting thing that I have. So the artificial banana flavor
Yeah.
is actually a banana that doesn't grow on, or like the flavor that it's supposed to
We
be.
talked about this
Did we?
on the Rebel Radio show, and I'm pretty sure Austin told us this.
Fuck. Well, that's still a thing. It's
Go ahead and
still-
say it, because I'm sure there's people that listen to this that didn't listen to that episode.
No, it's the artificial banana flavor is not a flavor found or not grown on this earth anymore, right? The banana
was,
isn't
yeah.
grown on this earth anymore, but it was.
Well, bananas are, but not the banana flavor.
Not that banana flavor. Also, I think it's really interesting how fruit used to look different. Like
Yeah.
old pictures
Before
of like
GMOs, dude.
yeah. GMOs are crazy. I didn't know about GMOs until I listened to MF Doom.
I really don't fucking care about GMOs, but like,
It's a dude.
it's crazy.
No, listen, it's a real like they put this stuff. I don't know. I mean, we might have talked about this on the show. I might have told you about that. I'm very possible could have told you about this already, but they put estrogen in
Yeah.
certain GMOs, and so it makes you more feminine, literally. But like you eat a strawberry and you become a pussy.
I hate when that happens, dude. I honestly like, well, fuck. You need to talk to Austin when he gets here. He will not eat anything soy anymore because of the same reasons.
Ah,
So like
yeah.
soy sauce, anything with soy in it,
Yeah.
soy byproduct, he just fucking refuses it.
Really?
Yeah,
I wonder. So that includes like soybeans and shit then,
yeah,
too, huh?
because it
Interesting.
makes you more feminine.
Yeah, bro. It's a real thing.
To be fair,
To be fair. Mm-hmm.
I prefer feminines. So
I prefer feminines too.
you
But
know, I'm a big guy though.
I started rewatching Letter. started.
So I stay away.
Watch
From,
out!
I
Watch
stay-
out!
I stay away from it personally, but
Just too big.
I'm just too fucking big. Sometimes I'm too big for my own good. I fucking smack into door frames and shit. And
Like Godzilla's fucking knocking over building, turn the corner and just knock over West 5th Street.
not West 5th
I don't know,
Street.
It's my
That's where my Aunt Mary lives.
it's my ambiguous street
That's
name.
where my Aunt Mary lives.
Well,
Apologize.
I knocked over. I didn't knock over her house.
Okay, did you go around it?
Yeah, I was
Appreciate
like, oh hey
you.
Mary.
How's your Uncle Will, by the way?
I don't have a what? I don't have an Uncle Will.
You literally told me like 3 days ago your Uncle Will got in a car accident.
That's just a fib. I've never been near an accident or a car.
Yeah? Well, that's just a fucking fib.
I've never been near an accident.
You
He's
are
good.
an accident.
He's good though.
He's good?
Yeah, he's doing good. He's
Okay, his
better.
leg's alright.
Yeah.
I know he was a little worried about getting the peg.
They had to amputate it.
Right.
But he was deciding between the peg. Funnily enough, the ball and chain was his other option,
I don't
and
think
then
that's a real thing.
he went for the ball and
I
chain.
don't think that's real.
So now he walks around with one leg and just a giant weighted ball and then a chain.
Tell his
that
wife
goes
to
up
lay
his
off him
thigh.
for a while. They just got
And
in an
so-
accident.
He'll like move his stump thigh and he'll just like swing his ball around. Huzzah! He'll swing his ball around. He's doing good though. I started rewatching Letterkenny.
Fuck. Pretty sure it very specifically says no bits in the description. I'm gonna have to fix that because I'm pretty sure episode 2 we started doing bits.
Yeah. No, there. Well, that's the thing. Our life is a bit. Our life. Sometimes we just go into bits and
Life is unfair.
we just
That's
follow.
fucking,
Yeah. Fucking that '70s show.
That was Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
thing. Dude, the Lost Media.
Dude, they are the same thing. Yeah. The amount of times I've seen fucking Malcolm and Reese just smoking up at a round table. It's crazy, dude.
Imagine that'd be a super dope crossover episode if it's like they're doing the
They're
circle.
children. They can't. Frankie Muniz was like 14.
It'd be awesome if you're panning and it's like Fez, Hyde, and then Malcolm, and he's like, what? He's like,
Dude, go ahead, give me a good Malcolm impression.
He's like, yeah, guys, I'm Malcolm, and then he inhales really hard. Because they're smoking weed in that basement. They don't ever tell you, but that's what they're doing. Little insider trade
I didn't know
secret,
that.
yeah.
Still. You wanna wrap this one and do another?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bukkake. And also, I had kidney stones this past week, and it's been really affecting my physical and mental state, and I just don't know if I don't know how I've been feeling lately. It feels like I'm not myself, and I'm just going in and out of this like state of consciousness. Nothing feels real. I wake up and I can't tell if I'm still dreaming or if the dream is my day to day.